Police say the man fired at an officer and they returned fire. The man barricaded himself in a shed where he was found dead. It has not been determined whether he died from shots fired by officers or a self-inflicted bullet wound. The State Bureau of Criminal Investigation will handle that case. A Bismarck company that sells wholesale electricity has completed its purchase of North Dakota's largest coal-fired power plant from a Minnesota company. Fired at an officer. They had intended to close the plant if no buyer could be found. Rainbow Energy Center announced last year it had reached an agreement to acquire the Coal Creek Station from Minnesota-based Great River Energy. The acquisition also includes related transmission lines that run from central North Dakota to Minnesota. Terms of the deal were not disclosed. Governor Burgum approves of the agreement, saying it has saved hundreds of jobs at the plant and the lignite coal mine that supplies it. A South Dakota Ethics Board has decided to hire an outside agency as it considers a pair of ethics complaints against Governor Kristi Noem. The complaints were sparked from allegations the Republican governor interfered with the state agency to help her daughter's application for a real estate appraiser license and misuse state planes. The retired judges who sit on the Government Accountability Board decided any legal advice should not come from the lawyer who usually advises the board because she works with the Attorney General. Attorney General Jason Rounsberg initiated the complaints. Fargo-Moorhead close to 46 for our high this afternoon. A mostly cloudy sky will stay mostly cloudy tonight, and then overnight at some point we'll start to see decreasing cloudiness, 33. Partly sunny tomorrow, 57. Mostly cloudy Wednesday, near 59. 64 then Thursday, partly to mostly cloudy. It is cloudy, 39. Paul Jurgens, News Radio, KFGO.
This is Afternoons Live with Tyler Axel.
We're going to dive right in here because, you know what, there's been a lot of moisture over the weekend. In fact, it was Saturday. I jumped in the rig and drove around rural parts of Cass County, and boy, there is water out there. There's fields that looked as though they were lakes, and if you have that wind kicking in, yeah, she was moving out there. But in particular, when you go north of the metro area here in a city of Harwood, which is just about 8 miles north of here, you got the Cheyenne, and if you are taking that county road going west from the interstate, yeah, that Cheyenne, she's touching the bridge there or close to. And I wanted to know because yesterday the city council, including the mayor, got together and they had a special city council meeting Saturday, May 1st, which was yesterday, and they did declare a flood emergency. And here to tell us more about that is the mayor of Harwood, Blake Hakey, joining us right now. Mayor, how are you this Monday afternoon?
Oh, I'm doing well, Tyler. How about yourself?
I'm doing well also. Surprisingly, for a Monday that just continues to have the gloomy weather. And, of course, I think we're probably all fortunate and thankful that it's not raining today because the city, boy, you guys had to get together. I'm curious, what led yourself to call for this special meeting yesterday?
Yeah, so the prediction or the gauge reading at the Cheyenne was predicted to be 91.4, and at that particular height, we get concerned. At a 91.4, kind of right in that area, that does put us kind of in a top 5 all-time historic flood, and so that's what led me to call the special meeting yesterday. The council did meet. We had we had a lot of people here, which I can appreciate from Cass County as well. We had Jason Benson, who's the county engineer. We had Sheriff Johnner here. We also had our own engineer, Andrew Ockery from Moore Engineering and Public Works here as well. So we had a lot of resources here. We had a discussion, and at 91.4, we thought it was prudent to make the declaration.
And the declaration allows the city to take additional measures, I'm assuming, and I'm curious what measures the city's looking to undertake. If in fact that crest is still going to be 91.4. I thought I'd heard maybe I was just being hopeful that it might be a little lower now, maybe that 89. But what does this declaration allow for you to do at Harwood?
Right. So I'll answer it twofold. Number one, the declaration would have allowed us to get additional federal and local funding and resources. So that's why we made the declaration. With that said, I would say mid-afternoon today, or mid-morning, I should say, the crest was lowered from 91.4 down to 90. At 90, we wouldn't have been concerned, and we wouldn't have made the declaration. So, things look real well based on, or in good shape based on the current reading. And so I guess within the city, we're feeling pretty good about things. Although we have made preparations. I went around with City Works yesterday. We walked the dike and made sure everything was in good order. We do have clay on hand. We have sandbags on hand. I think Public Works, along with our city engineers, I think we have a good emergency plan. So I think we're fine, and I do believe we would have been all right at 91.4, although that gets a little concerning for us. But at 90, a gauge reading of 90, we were really not that concerned anymore.
Well, it's good. That's a good way to kick off a Monday afternoon, I would have to say, with some of that good news. And looking at the forecast from Too Tall Tom Schmansky here, it's going to be quite dry for the next few days. In fact, I don't see anything on his forecast predicting precipitation until next weekend. So I think with that, in addition to the lower crest, we're going to be in good shape up there by the sounds of it, Mayor.
Yep, you're exactly right. A lot of things going for us. There's no ice, there's no snow, a lower crest, a dry forecast. So and the Red River is low enough to where the Cheyenne is flowing out pretty fast into the Red River. So I feel like we're in good shape right now.
Is there anything residents need to be mindful of? I know you mentioned that there are sandbags, you got clay. Say if somebody's having some water issues, is there a number they should call, or should they just contact the city?
Yeah, I mean, our city website has all of our information on there and all the contacts. The city office would be one of the first phone calls, or else to Public Works. In a small town, my cell phone's on the city website. They can always call me as well. But really, if they were just to see anything, especially the residents that back up to where our dike is on the east side of the Cheyenne, if they were to notice any kind of problems or seepage, that would be something to call immediately to the city office, Public Works, or myself.
Very good. Well, Mayor, I tell you what, this platform is yours. If anything does change, which hopefully everything we're saying right now sounds like it's good information, good in the positive side. But if anything changes, you got a platform right here to get the word out, all right?
All right, Tyler, I appreciate that.
Yep. All right, I'm going to let you go. You take care. Thanks for joining us today, Blake.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Blake Hankey is the mayor of Harwood there. That's one of those situations to where when you're calling the crew in on a Sunday to, all right, get the minds together, let's start preparing a just in case, something that isn't isolated to Harwood, but something that certainly is, when you're talking about 94.1 and that being in the top 5 flood stage, okay, that means we've got that precipitation that a lot of us been praying for, been asking for because of the last 3 years of a continued drought. Well, I think she might have broke at least a little bit on the eastern side of North Dakota here. If you have not, and I know those roads out there in some of the rural parts are encouraging you just to stay off. In fact, some of them completely impassable. I'm telling you that I was heading up north. Harwood's home for me now, if you haven't noticed that. But heading up to Argusville and stopping at the old Happy Trails on Saturday. If you wanted to go east towards the red, those roads were closed, most of them. So certainly they're taking the precautions out there. It was a wet weekend. But you know what, looking at this forecast here coming up, and we'll get an update here in about a half-hour time from Too Tall Tom. It's looking like it might dry out for a little bit. In fact, it might warm up and get a little sunshine, which I think we have all been desperately needing over the course of the last 2 weeks. Your observations are welcome at 237-5948. That is the Lightning Studio line. You can also text me on the iConsultants of North Dakota text club, which is 35270. We're going to take an early break. Your Afternoons Live is just getting started. I'm Tyler Axidus, your host. Eric Johnson, our producer. Going to be with you till 5 o'clock here. Then a short drive because we got Twins baseball at Baltimore. The Red Hot Twins. We'll talk a little bit more about their weekend and what we can expect this week with Derek Hansen later on the Monday edition of Afternoons Live. Don't go anywhere. I did get a chance to go to Acoustic Fest yesterday. You know, we had Sean Mitzel on Friday, which if you missed that, well, we'll be doing it again. What was it? Name that tune? Or can we say that? Or is there like?
I think if you sing it like Sean did,
yeah,
you can.
Sure. We can't just play the jingle of the game show. You don't have to name it in one note. That was the whole bit on.
Right.
Name that tune, right? Oh, I can name that tune in two
X
notes.
amount of notes. Yeah.
It was fun. It got full.
That's awesome. We had a mutual friend had a wedding reception on Friday.
I saw
that,
photos.
Sucked some of the energy out of the rest of my
I
weekend.
warned you. I said that means you're going to not go anywhere or do anything on Sunday.
You were
correct.
100% correct.
Knowing the family, knowing the individual, knowing the crew of which
the area of the state he comes from.
Yep. He's a good old Maddox boy. That means Benson County strong. I knew that if you were there, that was your one thing for the entire weekend.
Yep.
That
It was
the one
super
activity.
fun. Super fun.
It looked like it was a fun
One
time.
of those events where you couldn't take 2 steps without running into somebody and having a 5-minute conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really hard to get anywhere in there because you ran into somebody you were like, oh, I didn't see you when I first walked in. Yeah. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of
You're not a spry
rest and-
chicken anymore.
No.
That's what that means.
No, a lot of rest and recovery was required.
It was Pedialyte or Gatorade yesterday. Imagine.
Water.
You're just a straight up water right from the faucet. Give me
Yep.
some of the natural stuff. Oh, okay. Well, glad you made it to work today.
I did. I feel good today.
Okay, that's what a good rest and relaxation on a Sunday does. We did go out though. For those that were able to get out to Acoustic Fest as we're promoting it on Friday, it was a fun time. To have a dozen or so musicians get together and partake in just watching other area talent. It's fun to just kind of feel that buzz when you have those other musicians cheering on those. And I've got to tell you, there is so much great local talent. I don't have the name here. I kept the sheet, but there was a female artist over there whose vocals captivated the entire building. And if somebody was over there and remembers her name, please help me at 35270. What was her name? I think it was like the third or fourth act. I know that there was a band because you've got bands, but then some of their members will go off and do this acoustic set, and there would be 3 or 4 different acts, but on any other given weekend or weeknight, they might be on the stage together. But there was, and we'll try to get her on. That we try to provide a platform for some of these local artists to promote their talents for you, so then you can go out wherever it is they might have that venue and take them in for yourself. Because that's one thing over the pandemic. I said there was a lot of things that I think I personally took for granted. And then when it was all just prohibited and taken away from us, I learned that. And now when we're hopefully just beyond all that, I know I've certainly have been. I know a lot of you have been as well. That it's back. We've got the opportunities to go out and check out that local talent. We're going to try to encourage you to do just that. But if you remember, or if you were over there, send me her name. I cannot remember right now. I have it somewhere. 35270. That's the Consultants of North Dakota Text Club. If you text mom into that same text code, you're going to get a number back. We have messages from mom running all week because you know what? Sunday's Mother's Day, so you could be doing this in addition to stopping out at, Carol Widman's Candy, the Hair Success Salon and Spa, the Mendak Market. All of those are certainly the spots where you can go buy those gifts for mother as well. Message comes in. Tyler, we're traveling from Florida to vacation in Fargo. I just tuned into the show. What's the best thing to do while we visit Fargo? It's an interesting question. In fact, you stay tuned in right here. We're going to throw that out to other people that are listening. Okay, you've got somebody from Florida that's coming up to vacation in Fargo, which we welcome you in North Dakota. What would you recommend that this fellow listener do when they come to Fargo? We'll take those recommendations all day here. Certainly, one of the destinations for a lot of people in mind, downtown. There's plenty of things to do downtown. Plus, you got the marquee down there. You can do your photo. So they can bring it back to Florida and hang that on your wall. I'm curious, what time of year you're coming to Fargo. I want to tell you, if you're coming up this week, it's still unseasonably cold and wet, and it's frustrating because we've all been eager for spring to arrive, and it hasn't quite yet. But text me back. I see the area code is a 904 number. What time are you coming up here? What time of the year? Because that might narrow down what you get back and recommendations. There's some pubs that are getting thrown in already for you. For example, a Chubb's Pub.
You never go wrong.
You can't go wrong there, depending on, especially if you're going to be up here during the week. Go there on a Thursday for some of the cheap bush light, if that's what you're up for.
Now, if they're coming up this weekend, they might get some halfway decent weather. It looks like the temps are going to get into that nice comfortable range.
Yeah, by comfortable. You want to know what you're in store for this weekend? I'm looking... Actually, on Saturday, a high of 72. Okay, that's welcome.
What I'm saying.
Okay, I thought we're talking mid-50s. No. I'm glad to see a 7 in front of all those digits there. We are actually just 30 miles away from Fargo.
Hang on through the weekend.
You come to town. You stop by KFGO here. If you're 30 miles away, we'll get you some swag. You can go on your way and have a little bit of fun. 1020 25th Street South in Fargo. I appreciate you tuning in, whether that's in 790 AM or 104.7 FM. But I'm curious what direction you're coming from, because there's a lot of water up here, as we were starting off the show with Mayor north of Fargo here in Harwood. We'll get a list compiled for you to go out there and check it out. I'll do the old Google here to see what's going on. But you got to stop downtown. There's other areas in town. I know that there's a new Sweet Shots Kingpins, if that's something you're into as well. Music scene tonight, I'm not exactly sure what it would be on a Monday. I can tell you there was a lot of those musicians. Well, they were jamming out Sunday over in West Fargo. But we'll continue to get these messages in. What should this couple or what this individual do that's traveling to Fargo from Florida? It's on vacation. We'll crowdsource all those at 35270. We're going to get you caught up with KFGO News here in just a moment. When we do come back on the flip side of that, after we check in with Rusty Halverson, Rob Kupek, it's a familiar name for a lot of you in this area, meteorologist over at KVRR. You hear him fill in the afternoons here if we do have severe weather. Well, you know what? He got the endorsement to run for the state Senate in Minnesota in District 4. We're going to ask him why, what he wants to do with the job, and quite frankly, how that decision came to be, knowing that in the world of media, if you are in fact a candidate, well, that kind of disrupts things. So we're going to see how he's getting that worked out, because he's familiar for you, a trusted individual when it comes to providing you the forecast going forward. So we're going to have that conversation a little bit right after this break here. Also, Derek Hansen with sports. We've got Twins that are red hot. You've got the Wild starting the playoffs tonight. Timberwolves in frustrating fashion lose to the Memphis Grizzlies, even though they should have won that series in 5 games. Also, we've got a number of other things when it comes to the NFL draft. A number of players in the area here getting drafted. Tyler, tell me to go to Diener's Diner for breakfast in West Fargo. Another one, check out Drecker Brewery, which is close to downtown. Fantastic place, great beer down there as well. Keep them coming in. What should this individual that's texting from Florida coming to Fargo right as we speak, what should they be doing while they're in town? We'll send them out and have a good time up here. I'm Tyler Axe. This Afternoons Live. We're just kind of getting rolling here on a Monday afternoon. Don't go anywhere.
News and weather this hour brought to you by Rick Electric, proud to serve the Fargo-Moorhead area since 1964. Day or night, they're here for you. Find them at rickelectric.com.
Fargo-Moorhead, cloudy, 39. I'm Paul Juergens. Governor Walz held a ceremonial bill signing at the Capitol today to refill the state's unemployment insurance fund and send $750 COVID hero bonuses to over 600,000 frontline workers. It took a lot of wrangling to get lawmakers to agree on that bill, and Walz says the legislative process can be frustrating. However,
being the only divided state legislature in the country, this group of legislators, leaders, and advocates up here found a way to reach a compromise that served our frontline workers, our small businesses, and continue to deal with the COVID pandemic.
The House and Senate both approved that compromise Friday afternoon. 39, this is KFGO News. This is KFGO News. The Otter Tail County Sheriff's Office says a 25-year-old man shot and killed his 25-year-old wife and then shot himself to death at their home Friday night in rural Wadena. The deaths are considered a murder-suicide. Autopsies were conducted by the Midwest Medical Examiner's Office in St. Paul. The Bureau of Criminal Apprehension is assisting with the investigation. A man is dead after he exchanged gunfire with Bismarck police this morning. Police say officers were investigating a stolen car reported at a mobile home park when a suspect ran out the back door of a trailer home. Officers gave chase on foot. Police say the man fired at an officer, and they returned fire. The man barricaded himself in a shed where he was found dead. It has not been determined whether he died from gunshots fired by officers or a self-inflicted bullet wound. The State Bureau of Criminal Investigation is handling that case. Excessive rainfall has caused additional flooding in northeastern North Dakota and northwestern Minnesota, where roads are closed and at least one small town is surrounded by water. Niche, with a population of about 380, has become an island with the Pembina River cresting, according to Pembina County Emergency Management spokeswoman Rebecca Flanders. It is anticipated that the water level will be consistent for the next several days to a week. To the south, the city has asked residents in some parts of Cavalier to evacuate their homes due to the rising water and flooded streets. Authorities have identified two men who apparently drowned in a boating accident on Big Marine Lake in Scandia, Minnesota.
The Ramsey County Medical Examiner's Office says the victims are 45-year-old Richard Gannon of Centerville and 55-year-old Tony Boyce from Hugo. The Washington County Sheriff's Office says a witness reported two men in the water screaming for help Friday afternoon. Deputies say it appears the boat lost control and the two occupants were ejected. Investigators are still trying to determine the cause. Dive teams located one of the victims Friday night, and the other man's body was recovered Saturday afternoon.
That's reporter Brent Palm. Democrats have endorsed KVRR-TV Chief Meteorologist Rob Kupek to run for the District 4 seat in the Minnesota Senate. Kupek won the endorsement during a meeting of District 4 delegates Saturday in Glendon. He's running for the seat being vacated by longtime Democratic State Senator Kent Eakin. Kupek has been chief meteorologist at KVRR-TV since 2013. Given equal time requirements, KVRR management says Kupek can no longer appear on the station's newscast. Kupek is originally from Connecticut. He and his family moved to Moorhead in 2000. Mostly cloudy, near 46 for our high this afternoon. Will be mostly cloudy then early tonight to some decreasing clouds toward morning. 33 for the low. Tomorrow 57, a partly sunny day. Mostly cloudy then Wednesday, 59. 64 Thursday, partly to mostly cloudy. Cloudy, 39 degrees. Paul Juergens, News Radio, KFGO.
We're going to pull in Rusty Halverson in just a moment, but to our Florida travelers, knowing that you're about 30 miles out, I got to get you some of the recommendations that came in for you. Of course, I already said check out Drecker Brewery, Diener's Diner for breakfast tomorrow. Somebody goes, Florida to Fargo travelers, go to the Yumcomb Center. That's in Moorhead. That's right across the river. Also, view the Stavi Church there. The Plains Indian Museum is still open. Maybe go there if it is. Another one coming in for the Yumcomb Center. Sons of Norway, which you're going to want to check out the Troll Lounge down there. Somebody also throwing out Bonanzaville in West Fargo, and the Air Museum coming in. Those are some of them. I don't know what your interests are. Go to the Fargo Theater downtown, too. That's where the marquee is. If you don't want to watch a movie, you don't have to, but you should check that out as well. Rusty Alverson in the KFGO studio. Hi, man.
Hey, did you mention the wood chipper? I wasn't paying attention.
I did not. The wood chipper, Convention and Visitors Bureau. I hope somebody in that vehicle's just got a pen and paper handy, giving you a lot to do for however long you're here. Yes, if you've seen the movie Fargo, the wood chipper is proudly displayed at the Convention and Visitors Bureau, I believe.
Oh, sure. You betcha.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Get some lefts somewhere, too. Oh, I suppose maybe you could do that at the Sons of Norway. Rusty Alvarez is our farm and ranch reporter.
You bet.
Hi.
Hi.
You checked out water on the south side. I was on the north side.
Yeah.
There's a lot out there, man.
Checking levels over the weekend with the significant and taking some pictures and just documenting what is going to be for this little neighborhood, probably a little bit delayed planting this year.
Yeah, it is. And it's not warming up either. So you got the water and it's not getting warm. So.
Yep. Cool soil temperatures, something we're watching. But when the gear starts rolling, we'll be there.
Yeah. We'll be there reporting live, and we'll be relying on you for that.
You bet.
You were following along a House Ag Committee earlier today. We had another hearing.
Yeah. Well, we were talking Friday. The Senate Ag Committee held their Farm Bill hearing in Michigan, but also on Friday, the House Ag Committee, they held a hearing about food nutrition, the SNAP program, WIC, Women's, Infants, and Children program, school lunch, school breakfast programs. That accounts for about 80% of the Farm Bill funding when it comes to nutrition.
Right.
And we do have hunger problems in America, and now with the war in Ukraine, we have hunger problems in many countries around the world. And so they were speaking on Friday, House Ag Committee. Stacy Dean, Deputy Undersecretary for Food, Nutrition, Consumer Services of USDA, was visiting with California Congressman Jim Costa that the department is trying to source more local food for those in need.
That's an entire initiative of the Secretary and our friends at the Marketing Regulatory Program Mission Area. One example would be the local food procurement grant program that the Secretary has just launched, where we're going to be supporting state secretaries of agriculture to build their capacity to procure food locally in order to distribute through emergency food or school food. We think that'll help support more resilient local food systems.
Well, thank you. My time's expired, but Mr. Chairman, we're going to have hunger issues not only in this country but around the world, and there's an opportunity here for us to take good action. Thank you.
One of the things that came about during the pandemic, Tyler, the food box program, you'll remember that we had some local sites giving away food to families in need. Just show up, we'll give you food. And, the pandemic put a new light on the situation, I think, Tyler.
I think you're right, yeah. It did. And, the one thing that we worry about, and we've touched on this briefly, is the politics getting injected into the Farm Bill this time around.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Title IV, the SNAP program and the food nutrition programs of the Farm Bill have been some of the most contentious in the past few Farm Bill debates. So we will see where we go in this new year. Yeah,
well, like you say, with the global events and then this pandemic as well, which of course was one of those global events, I hope it doesn't get whittled down, knowing that the need is greater now.
Yeah.
Rusty, I appreciate it. You come back next hour.
Let's talk burgers,
I want to
baby.
talk burgers. Yeah, I heard you on It Takes Two saying, hey, it's a beef month.
It is.
And Burgum Governor Burgum, pardon me, wants to find out where the best beef burger is in. We'll ask you as far as in the metro area where you go to get your best burger.
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
Okay, we'll save that chair for you.
All right, thank
you. Rusty Alverson, him and Sarah Heinrich, multi-award-winning journalists of agriculture. If you can't wait till next hour, you go to kfgo.com, just click on that agriculture tab to learn more. Somebody suggesting, and I don't know how I didn't think of this because we have a regular Friday segment with this, go to fargounderground.com. They have all your local events listed right there in one convenient location. How did I not think about Erica Rapp and John and Mara Jorgensen? I don't know, but thank you for reminding me. And I do appreciate you texting back and saying you did write all those down. 13 miles out, you travel safe. Don't shy away from stopping at KFGO 1020 25th Street South if you are inclined to do so as well. CBS National News on the way. Rob Kupek, he's a meteorologist at KVRR, now a candidate for the state Senate in Minnesota. He joins us next. At conventions on the North Dakota side, conventions will be happening and taking place throughout the Minnesota side here in the next couple of weeks. We're going to be covering that thanks to Welton's Tire Service. But locally, a name familiar with a lot of you because you rely on him for your weather forecasting is Rob Kupak. And over this weekend, well, you know what? He's no longer just a meteorologist. He's also a candidate for the Minnesota State Senate in District 4, and he joins us right now. Rob, how you doing this Monday afternoon?
Good afternoon, Tyler. Yeah, I'm still kind of getting used to that title.
Yeah, well, you've earned it. You got the endorsement, and we have people wondering, what made you decide to run? Why did you seek the endorsement here?
You know, this was all something that kind of came up very quickly. Kent Eakin kind of decided a little bit last minute that he was not going to seek re-election, and I think, they were looking around for somebody maybe who could be a candidate, and, kind of nobody at that tier, like right below, that you might think would take that next jump kind of stepped up. And so there were a few people within the DFL party that approached me and asked me if I would consider running. And I took it under consideration, and then made a lot of phone calls to, people whose advice I trusted. And after talking to them, I decided I would try.
Well, you tried, and now you're the endorsed candidate. So congratulations on garnering the endorsement. And one thing with your career, that had to be a heavier conversation that you probably had to have because, when it comes to media and when it comes to campaigns, there's requirements for those that make it a little bit more difficult. So I'm curious, you're a trusted name, you're a trusted individual when it comes to forecasting. People turn into KVRR to get the forecast, the weather. I'm curious, what role are you going to be allowed over there during your job?
Right. Well, there's two kind of standards here. There's the legal standard, which actually I could be on the air tonight under the legal standard. It's not until because the filing for the race doesn't actually happen until the end of May. And if there was no primary appointment, then technically I could be on till after the primary. But then there's the ethical standard, which says, once you make this commitment, you're not going to be allowed to be on the air anymore. And so that is to KVRR's credit, and I would agree with their decision that I will no longer be on the air. I'll be kind of playing a scene, some role in the background because this all came up very suddenly. And so until we get something else in place, I will kind of be behind the scenes doing some things to facilitate a transition.
Very good. So what do you want to do with the job? I understand the process because the way you just described what you did when people approach you is the same thing I did on the North Dakota side when I was a candidate and won in 2012. But, it's something that you have to have a passion for. Obviously you do. What do you want to do with the job if you get elected?
Yeah, and a lot of I have a job in the media, so I have not been out in front of a lot of campaigns. But I have a long history kind of either behind the scenes, especially before my job became much more high profile. I did a lot of things. So this is something, my parents worked on campaigns when I was a kid. So it's something that I kind of grew up with. In terms of, what I would want to do, the first thing is that in the Senate District 4, we had Keith Langseth for a long time, and then we had Ken Eakin. They have both represented the people of the 4th District so well down in St. Paul. So the first thing I'd say is I'd like to continue that tradition. I think there is a little bit of an outstate, Minneapolis, St. Paul difference. And I think having those voices, especially a DFL voice from this area, bringing that to St. Paul is really important to make sure, the rest of the DFL gets the message of how it's a little bit different up here.
Yeah, I think that was pretty clear in hearing from Senator Eakin and, Representative Marquardt over the last couple of years, kind of that city's approach versus what we expect out here. And I think that's a tall order, but it's something that is certainly necessary. That one size does not fit all is something that I think does need to be kind of hammered upon down in St. Paul there. As far as are there committee assignments that you'd be hopeful of? I know it's so early in the process that you said it came up so quickly here.
Yeah.
But I mean, for you, what's the obviously meteorology is your profession, but what passions do you want to go out there and address?
Right, and what one of the things that I've as a meteorologist, this isn't necessarily going to be the complete focus of my campaign, is that I have a lot of knowledge about climate change, and I think sometimes particularly out here, climate change, I think there's sometimes a little misunderstanding about that. There's a huge economic impact to climate change, and I've gone out and I've talked with a lot of farmers, and some I can see it when I bring up the climate change. There's a little bit of the rolling of the eyes. But then when I start talking about it as an economic factor, they become very interested. And so I think that'll be part of the campaign for sure. Obviously, it was just like a lot of DFL candidates. Education is a huge priority for most DFL candidates and for us too. Obviously, we have Minnesota State University Moorhead, we have Concordia, so we have a couple of higher educations. We have M State also within the district, and so those are priorities, as well as there are some other needs special to West Central Minnesota. For instance, early childhood teachers. The average pay for an early childhood teacher, this is someone who's gone to school for 4 years, it starts at $15 an hour, and that's kind of when you have student loans to repay, and Burger King, McDonald's, Walmart, they're all paying more than that $15 an hour. So there's some needs and addresses that are kind of special too for West Central Minnesota on that issue.
Yeah, and just having that border to where the competition is a little different as well, it brings it into a whole unique situation where we call home here. Rob, is there anything else? I want to congratulate you on making the decision, getting the endorsement, and finding that balance as you move forward. But anything else you want to get out as far as the campaign or your role in meteorology before I let you go?
Yeah, I mean, but first of all, I owe a big thanks to my employer because I did kind of put them a little bit in a jam because this came up so suddenly. So they've been really good to work with, and and it's been a really great place to work. And so I think then people are wondering, like, why are you making this move too? A lot of people have wondered that, and it's I've had this desire to do some public service for a long time. It was something I had worked on previously and kind of moved away from, kind of back to meteorology. And now, maybe I'm at a point in my life where I want to move back in that way. So, people in the 4th Senate District, you see me, I'd love to come out and talk. And I just want to, I want to learn about what issues are most important to you so that I can maybe be the best representative I could be in St. Paul.
Rob, is there a website yet? Again, I know that this all came up real quick, but if there is, here's your opportunity to get out website, Facebook, whatever it is you want to direct people to.
Well, I do have a Facebook page. That just went up today. I have claimed a domain name, so there's a website coming. But, yeah, it is everything kind of backwards. Because last week all I did was I called delegates because I wanted to lock up that endorsement and didn't focus on making the website, Facebook page, all those things you would normally do out front. I'm a little in catch-up mode on that. But if you do on Facebook, it is CUPEC number 4, MN State Senate on Facebook page. Facebook, so it's there.
Very good. Rob, we'll have that on the podcast here. I appreciate your time. Congratulations on the endorsement. I'm sure we'll be talking again soon, all right?
Great. Anytime you want to talk, I'm available.
That sounds good. I appreciate that, Rob. You take care, all right?
You too. Have a great afternoon.
Yeah, you do the same. Rob Kupek, meteorologist, and now, a candidate for the DFL, the endorsed candidate going into District 4 on the Minnesota side. Got to get you a weather update from Too Tall Tom Schmansky. Speaking of meteorologists, he'll tell you about the week ahead, and then we'll wrap up the first hour of Afternoons Live right after this. He actually does radio down at Jacksonville. You talk about WJXL. So you're familiar with the business. I'm glad you were listening on the AM side as well. We had listeners fill out a number of things. I hope we gave you enough. You're going to be here till Saturday. That's a long time, a lot of days to fill up on the calendar.
It's
here.
a bunch. I put everything y'all said into my notes, and I've already got a big, huge notes section waiting on me. So we're gonna have to go box by box and check all those out. That's for sure.
And we didn't even scratch the surface here. Somebody recommended FargoUnderground.com, KFGO.com. There's events tab right there. We got you hooked up with some KFGO hats, some koozies this afternoon. All I ask is you take a couple of photos of what you're doing and send that into our email so we can post that up. So the fellow listeners that were giving you recommendations can see that you're actually doing those activities.
Oh, 100%. Now that you got the koozies, I got the hats. Like, I'm going to be repping this everywhere I go in Fargo. You better believe that.
I love that. So this isn't your first time up here, you said?
No, this is it's been a few years for me. Actually, what's funny about this, last time I was here, I proposed to my fiance.
Really?
So on a family vacation, it's like, welcome to the family. Meet all the family members. Let's see if you want to make this long term. So
Fargo, known for our romance.
Apparently,
yes.
huh? Yeah.
The sparks were flying when that happened. Matt, I'm glad you were able to stop in, man. I'm up against the CBS National News update, but congratulations on calling Fargo your vacation. A lot of people questioning that decision, but we're happy to have you.
I appreciate it, guys.
Glad you stopped in.
Yes.
Thanks for listening. I'm going to let you go. Matt, he's traveling up from Florida. If you want to send in more recommendations, 35270. We'll get those photos perhaps on our Facebook page a little bit later on this week. Here's what's coming up. This next half hour, you, me, this microphone, your cell phone, whatever you want to get off your chest, I'm here for you. You can call in, you can text, and we'll have a conversation before. Bottom of the hour, NDSU does have another one of their speaker series. We'll tell you who and how you can attend. That and more coming up. I'm Tyler Axis. You got locked into After News Live on KFGO.
Cloudy sky, 39. I'm Paul Jurgens. Harwood Mayor Blake Hankey says the community has declared a flood emergency as the Cheyenne River continues to flood. It's expected to crest at 94.1 feet in Harwood later this week. Hankey says that'll likely be a top 5 flood in the town's history. They were cautious and vigilant.
We feel we're pretty good up until about 91.7, 91.8. We have the ability to add more if needed, but at this point, if the levels hold where they're going to, and it appears from the Weather Service that it might even be trending a little lower than that, just looking at what the numbers that were being provided. So if things stay on that trajectory, I think we're all right. If it gets up into that 91.7, 91.8, then we have to start taking extra precautions.
Hankey says Harwood has several things going in its favor, even though the river's high. He says there's no ice and no snow, and the Red River is low enough now, which means the Cheyenne can flow into the main stem without backing up and causing additional flooding around Harwood. A man is dead after he exchanged gunfire with Bismarck police. Police say officers were investigating a stolen car report at a mobile home park when a suspect ran out of the back door of a trailer home this morning. Officers gave chase on foot. Police say the man fired at an officer and they returned fire. The man barricaded himself in a shed where he was found dead. It has not been determined whether he died from shots fired by officers or a self-inflicted bullet wound. Sheriff's officials in Otter Tail County say the deaths of 2 people is a case of murder-suicide. Deputies responded to a residence in rural Wadena Friday night where the bodies of 2 adults were found. The sheriff's office says a 25-year-old man shot his 25-year-old wife and then took his own life. Autopsies were conducted by the Ramsey Midwest Medical Examiner's Office in Ramsey County. The name of the couple has not been released. A Bismarck company that sells wholesale electricity has completed its purchase of North Dakota's largest coal-fired power plant from a Minnesota company that had intended to close the plant if no buyer could be found. Rainbow Energy Center announced last year it had reached an agreement to acquire the Coal Creek Station from Minnesota-based Great River Energy. The acquisition also includes related transmission lines that run from central North Dakota to Minnesota. Terms of the deal were not disclosed. Governor Burgum approves of the agreement, saying it has saved hundreds of jobs at the plant and the lignite coal mine that supplies it. Fargo-Moorhead near 46 for a high this afternoon. We will remain mostly cloudy. Decreasing clouds then overnight, 33 the low. For tomorrow, KFGO meteorologist Tom Szymanski is expecting 57, partly sunny. More clouds for Wednesday, but warming to near 59, 64 then Thursday, partly to mostly cloudy. It is cloudy, 39 degrees. Paul Jurgens, News Radio, KFGO.
Now, I have it on good word that Matt and the family that are in Fargo on vacation from Florida are going to be sporting those KFGO caps around, so you be sure to give them a nice Fargo welcome when you see them out doing some of the things that you all recommended that they do, the places that they need to stop and see. That was fun. Glad they were listening to KFGO as they drove on in to Fargo. Messages coming in, 35270. That's the iConsultants of North Dakota Text Club. You can also call into the Laney studio line at 237-5948. This message comes in regards to Rob Kupek. And one thing, when it comes to running for these legislative seats and these, they're not full-time positions, ladies and gentlemen. And I can only speak from the North Dakota side with my experience, but certainly in his position, it carries some of the same things. You have to have an employer that is willing to let you put your name on the ballot and then let you ultimately serve if you win. And I know that is the reason why some people don't take the leap. That they can't take the time off from their employment to serve however many months or weeks it might be in any given capital that they're choosing to serve in. So that is something that conversation needs to be had, whether you are in media or if you are doing any other job that you're listening to me right now. And you know what, when when I ran, I was fortunate to have an employer allow me to do it as well. And I was working for a nonprofit at the time. And I had to take the whole leave of absence to go out there and serve during the legislature. And it was an opportunity that I'm grateful that I had. Now there's, in Rob Kupek's situation, when you are in front of cameras, he mentioned there's two things that come with that in his employment. You've got the legal side and you got the ethical side. Now the ethical side about the whole name recognition, getting that whole upper hand, because you're a known personality, you're a trusted individual when it comes to forecasting. So that unfair advantage, take that for what it's worth. But the legal side of some of this comes down to that fair, equal time. So that's where people are wondering, boy, you're taking the chance here. And I think that what I'm getting in the text club is their excitement, but also, I don't want to say it's not disappointment, but it's because it is such a trusted name for you when it comes to your planning with the weeks ahead, when it comes to the weather, that there's kind of that, oh, man, we're going to lose Rob potentially. Message of this kind of summarizes a number of the messages I'm getting in. Tyler Yegg, so if he wins the seat, he won't be able to be in front of a camera on a newscast as long as he holds the seat. I'm just having trouble wrapping my head around that. Well, that's why I had asked the question as to how did you come to this decision? Because you, in his position, had to decide whether or not this is the path that he's ready for. And I think it was pretty abundantly clear in his answer that this is the path that in his life and his time right now, this is what he's wanting. Something that had been a part of his life for so long. You know what? We've all come to that moment at some point in our lives to where you have to make a decision on what you want to be doing any given day when it comes to your employment or what you're doing for your community, service, all of that. So it's a tough decision to make for a lot of people, and I have no doubt he weighed that very heavily before making the decision to start calling delegates to get this endorsement, knowing the impact it could have on his day job. It's not uncommon. I think why it's more in your minds right now is because it's somebody you all know because you watch on a nightly basis. But don't lose sight of the fact that there are other candidates that have had to have those exact same conversations with their family, their friends, and their employers that will allow them or not allow them to pursue these types of opportunities. 237-5948, that's the Lenny Studio line. Of course, the consultants of North Dakota Text Club is at 35270. The whole pageantry and the showmanship of these type of events, I don't really get into them, but every now and then there's a nugget of truth that gets presented at these things. And in this particular moment, I'm talking about the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I don't know that we've had one over the last few years. And that wasn't just because of the pandemic. It was Donald Trump didn't want this or didn't attend these. To where you've got journalists, you've got comedians, you've got politicians, all the big names out in Washington get together and then they crack jokes or attempt to crack jokes. But Trevor Noah was the host this year. And I have no doubt from what I've heard from other comedians that have had to do this, it's one of those most nerve-wracking roles that they've had to do because you're standing next to the president, you're cracking jokes at his expense, and everyone else in the room. Trevor Noah as host of The Daily Show, I've given you my thoughts on that. I was a Jon Stewart fanatic back when he had that role because of the way his wit, his humor, but his ability to actually throw something so direct and so profound that it stuck, in his ability to interview. And I keep thinking about the Jim Cramer interview. It was after the stock market came crashing down, and Jon Stewart's looking at Jim Cramer saying, don't you think you bear any responsibility with some of the things that you were telling investors to do? And that interview, if you did not watch it, was just uncomfortable but powerful in what he was able to do. I haven't had that same impact from Trevor Noah. The one I've watched, it's been more impersonations than it has been, I think, something that stuck with me. But he hosted this, and he closed out directing comments at the journalists in the room. And when it comes to journalism, when it comes to media. There has been such a different mindset when it comes to U.S. consumer that the trust in media has been so tanked. And there's, I think, at times some legitimacy to wonder if they've, in fact, changed what it is that they focus on and how they present things. It's a minute and a half clip, but I want to have you take a listen to this, and then we'll comment and discuss it after a break. But here's Trevor Noah closing the White House Correspondents' Dinner this weekend.
Every single one of you, whether you like it or not, is a bastion of democracy. And if you ever begin to doubt your responsibilities, if you ever begin to doubt how meaningful it is, look no further than what's happening in Ukraine. Look at what's happening there. Journalists are risking and even losing their lives to show the world what's really happening. You realize how amazing it is. Like, in America, you have the right to seek the truth and speak the truth, even if it makes people in power uncomfortable, even if it makes your viewers or your readers uncomfortable. You understand how amazing that is? I stood here tonight and I made fun of the President of the United States, and I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine, right? Do you really understand what a blessing it is? Maybe it's happened for so long that it might slip your mind. It's a blessing. In fact, here, ask yourself this question. Honestly, ask yourself this question. If Russian journalists who are losing their livelihoods, as you were talking about, Steve, and their freedom for daring to report on what their own government is doing, if they had the freedom to write any words, to show any stories, or to ask any questions, if they had basically what you have, would they be using it in the same way that you do? Ask yourself that question every day, because you have one of the most important roles in the world.
That was Trevor Noah directing those comments at journalists. My question that I have for you, because there are routine times in which you frequently criticize media and journalists to me, and you throw, well, Tyler, you're media. What is it that got you to stop trusting the media? Is it because of their approach? What is it for you that the level of trust and respect for journalists in general has tanked over the last decade? 35270. We'll come back to that conversation right after this. I'm Tyler Axis. You got a locked in Afternoons Live on 790 AM, 94.1 and 104.7 FM, KFGO. The clip from Trevor Noah, I mean, it was a polite way of, in my opinion, telling journalists, look, you got to start doing your job just a little bit better on the national side. And one thing I think you've made quite clear is you trust those that you have local here, right? I mean, you trust the Paul Jurgens, the Don Haney's, Tasha Carvels. It's the national side that the credibility in your mind has cratered. And I'm just curious why. Now, I think there are times where I get so dang frustrated and the approach nationally, and then to find some of these individuals and go write a book afterwards instead of just reporting there. I found that frustration for me as well. And yes, I am part of media locally here. My question for you, and there's a lot of lengthy text messages, and I'll get to those right now, as to why. I tell you, need to look no further than the way they treated Trump and all the things they were wrong about. Of course, you could add to that all of the free passes for Joe and Hunter Biden. Another one, Tyler, the issue isn't all media. The issue is media or journalists who screw stories to fit their agenda. Read any headline. Typically, the headline is very eye-catching, and you may say, well, yeah, that's what it's supposed to do. But when the headline implies something that isn't factual, or it leads the reader to believe something that isn't true, this is what leads people not to trust media. I also think there's an issue with people's trust with media trying to push political beliefs on the public. And this goes on. But, there is something about the clickbaitiness now of media as well. Because there's so much more competition out there, right? You don't just have your major networks. It's not just CBS, NBC, and ABC. You have got anything, and you can find what kind of media you want to consume, including news. So when you talk about headlines being, kind of that eye-popping, you're right, because you want to grab the attention of a potential reader or a viewer. But at some point, there are times where you can say, well, this is certainly just clickbait. They just want that click because the click gets the money. And it comes back to just needing that money because the variety of ways now that these organizations are funded aren't just in that traditional sense. It's not just ad revenue. It's, through all these other means. And I think that has done a disservice to this as well. Just trying to get a click for the sake of a click and then just trying to be more outlandish than the next person or the next organization because that click is so vitally important for the traffic you get to your website or the views you get on your TikTok. Now, there are, at some points, I think you got to do a little bit of self-reflection here as well. I think the way of which we try to consume media, we don't sit and read the lengthy articles like we once did. We want everything shortened up. How many of you watch a clip on social media that's longer than 2 minutes? You'll look to see at the timeline and be, oh, well, I was in, but after the 2-minute mark, I'm bouncing. I'm done with it. So our attention spans have gotten a lot shorter as well. Now, I'm not trying to find an excuse here for why certain things are presented the way they are and that whole, I just need to have your attention for those 2 minutes. But there is some of it. We don't dive in as deep into some of this, I think, as what we used to either. More messages. Again, a lot of them are lengthy, so I apologize if I don't get all of them. I'll tell you, I remember one of the first rules we learned in high school journalism is that you had to stay unbiased. There is not one media outlet that doesn't spin stuff or only reports stuff that's favorable to their party. Now, there's going to be a lot of people that groan at this. I don't think that they're the true journalists that's out there and they have multiple sources for a given story. I don't think that they really show their bias in their reporting. I think what's gotten so blurred is the difference between a journalist and a commentator. I'm a commentator. I share my opinion based on other things. You don't expect that from, say, Paul Jurgens. He's the journalist. He provides the facts to you. There's more messages coming in, but I'm up against the clock here. I got to get you caught up with Paul Jurgens and that KFJ News Center. We'll come back to this in a little bit. I assure you all those messages waiting for me. I will share those with the rest of the KFJ audience right after this.
News and weather this hour brought to you by Dakota Monument. Dakota Monument Company, making memories last forever. Call for an in-home consultation.
Fargo-Moorhead, cloudy, 39 degrees. I'm Paul Juergens. A couple from Oklahoma died after their pickup was swept away in the Cannonball River near Mott in southwestern North Dakota. Edgar County Sheriff Sarah Warner says Patrick and Joan Blake became trapped in the pickup when they attempted to cross the river at a low crossing. Warner says Mrs. Blake called 911 shortly after 1 yesterday afternoon to report that their truck was in the river and water was up to the doors. Their bodies were later recovered by the Dickinson dive team. The pickup was found in water that was about 15 feet deep. The Blakes from Arcadia, Oklahoma, were visiting family in Mott. They were both 74. Excessive rainfall has caused additional flooding in northeastern North Dakota as well as northwest Minnesota, where some roads have been closed. At least one small town is surrounded by water. Netchie, North Dakota, with a population of about 380, has become an island with the Pembina River cresting, according to Pembina County Emergency Management spokesperson Rebecca Flanders. It is anticipated that the water level will be consistent for the next several days to a week. To the south, the city has asked residents in some parts of Cavalier to evacuate their homes due to the rising water and flooded streets. The Fargo City Commission tonight will ask developer Jim Roars to explain why construction of 7 townhouses, which are supposed to be completed 4 months ago, have not been built. Roars tells KFGO News increased construction costs is the primary reason.
So it's not that we're not going to build them. We do plan on building them. It's just that the market conditions have changed on us so bad that we would like to have a little bit more time to get them done and completed and also remain cost effective.
The townhouses were a compromise that allowed Roars Development to move ahead with a major construction project, an 85-unit apartment complex attached to the rebuilt Newman Center, which is nearing completion. Some residents in the surrounding Roosevelt neighborhood opposed the 6-story apartment project as too large for the area, which is mostly comprised of family homes. The compromise came as Roars agreed to build the townhouses, which would act as a buffer against the View apartments nearby. City Director of Strategic Planning and Research Jim Gilmore says various options are expected to be discussed at tonight's meeting. 39, this is KFGO News. .39 degrees. This is KFGO News. A man who exchanged gunfire with police officers in Bismarck this morning was found dead of an apparent gunshot wound. It is unclear if the shot that killed the man was self-inflicted or it took place in the exchange of gunfire. Police were investigating a stolen car report in a trailer park when someone fled out the back door of a trailer and officers engaged in a foot pursuit. During the pursuit, police say the man shot at an officer. They returned fire. It was believed that he barricaded himself in a shed, which is where West Dakota SWAT found him dead after a perimeter was set up. No officers were injured. The Otter Tail County Sheriff's Office says a 25-year-old man shot and killed his 25-year-old wife and then shot himself to death at their home Friday night in rural Wadena, Minnesota. The deaths are considered a murder-suicide. Autopsies were conducted by the Midwest Medical Examiner's Office in St. Paul. The Bureau of Criminal Apprehension is assisting with the investigation. Governor Walz has signed legislation to provide bonuses to healthcare workers who were on the front line during the pandemic and to repay the federal government for money that kept the Unemployment Trust Fund from default. The deal was approved last week in near unanimous votes in the House and Senate.
I did not get everything that I wanted to get there, but what I got is collaboration and cooperation that we would tackle this together. I think that good faith effort, whether it was on UI, on frontline workers, or on the pandemic, bodes incredibly well for Minnesota.
The final bill, included more than $2.5 billion for the trust fund and $500 million to give bonuses of about $750 each to employees whose jobs were considered essential during the pandemic. We'll stay mostly cloudy this evening, decreasing cloudiness overnight then, and meteorologist Tom Shemansky is expecting about 33 for our overnight low, 57 partly sunny tomorrow. Close to 60 Wednesday, mostly cloudy, low 60s, 64 or so Thursday, partly to mostly cloudy, and partly sunny Friday, the high near 69 degrees. Fargo-Moorhead, it is cloudy, 39. Paul Juergens, News Radio, KFGO.
Rusty Halverson back in the KFGO studio. I've got a question for you and Eric first.
Sure.
Have you ever made a purchase for your residence in which deep down maybe you knew that there should have been input from both people?
Are you talking decorative?
Yes. It's always decorative. In this case, it was a lamp.
Oh, a lamp?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm looking, I'm like, we need a lamp for this room. I'm like, I'm going to go out on a limb. I was a bachelor all weekend, so... And of course, I went to the man malls.
Yep.
So I had to buy things like
Already
tools.
You're going bold.
All right.
You're going real bold.
Yeah, by doing a lamp shopping at a man mall.
Yep.
And at a furniture store.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I bought some of this. Looks pretty cool. I like this lamp a lot.
Is this a is this a communal space?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
you're in trouble.
So is
Correct.
this like a Joel Heidkamp Christmas Story leg lamp?
No, this a fancy lamp. I thought. I'm like, this thing looks. This is going to look real good in a reading area.
Here's the other question, because you have a shed, which is eventually going to become your office sanctuary, beer, back bar.
Yes, all of the above.
Right.
It'll serve many purposes aside from storing.
If this was I'm going to take a swing, and if it works here, great. But if it doesn't, we can just put it out here because I like it.
No.
So what does it look like? I'm curious.
I mean, it's just a standard lamp, but it's got the Edison bulbs and the shade around it. I thought was fancy.
Can I
It
ask
had like
what
a
the
wood.
problem with it was?
Uh-oh.
I don't think it was clear what she didn't like about it.
Just
But
the
I
fact
didn't
that you picked it up?
I didn't tell her that I purchased said lamp, and when she got back last night, she didn't notice it, but this morning she did.
Oh.
What is that? Is what she said. So, needless to say, I think I now have a new office lamp.
Okay.
So it'll be put to use.
Well, that's
But have you made a purchase like that? Or are you smarter than I am?
No, I don't claim to be smarter than you, Tyler.
But just more common sense.
I don't know. I would
See, if
have
you can't think of a purchase, you don't have that purchase.
I would have to think.
Does Eric Johnson have that
Well,
purchase?
so no, because my situation is different than probably both of you guys. So I bought my house as a single person and filled it out with a lot of hand-me-downs from other people, decorative. So as we've evolved the decor, it's all been out of my hands.
She evolved the decor.
Right.
And my best lamp was actually a lamp that had glass panes that had wolves on them. It was a touch lamp. It was wonderful.
Oh, and it had like the gold.
Mostly
I imagine
silver.
Silver, okay.
Mostly silver, but the doggone thing just gave out.
I just howl at them when she let you keep it, huh?
No, it's no.
No. Okay. I got to get, we're talking beef here in just a minute here because I want to get to my next guest here, talking to NDSU in just a moment. What's going on? Beef of the month?
Yeah, May is Beef Month.
Yeah, okay.
Governor Burgum proclaiming Beef Month for North Dakota, several other states doing the same as well. And the North Dakota Beef Commission, they've got a couple of things going on, Tyler, featuring prominently beef on the menu this month. The Fargo-Moorhead Redhawks at their baseball games. They will have the beef batter of the game. Also, we've got the Beef Commission launching a social media campaign, and they're searching for North Dakota's best beef burger. Go to kfgo.com under the agriculture tab. You can find the story or the Facebook page for the North Dakota Beef Commission. But they're looking for the best beef burger in the state.
In the entire state.
Yes.
I've got an opinion on that. I'm sure listeners do as well. Where do you find your best cheeseburger, best beef burger? Send that into 35270.
Now, last year was the inaugural year of the best hamburger, best beef burger contest. Finish Line Burgers and Brew of Velva, North Dakota, coming out on top.
I have not had, but I'm intrigued.
Mm-hmm.
Next time I'm in the near area of Velva, I'll have to stop in the Finish Line Burgers. Where do you go? Get your cheeseburgers, 35270. The top notch in your mind, you can send those in.
Exactly. And again, kfgo.com, agriculture tab, click on the story, North Dakota Beef Commission Facebook page, or beefitswhatsfordinner.com, and all sorts of recipes. I've got a bunch in front of me here, Tyler, obviously. A fave, cheeseburgers. You've got your Caribbean beef burgers with mango salsa. You've got your Maplewood smoked bacon beer burgers. I mean,
those are all at KFGO?
Well, those are at beefitswhatsfordinner.com.
Okay, I'm glad I asked for clarification's sake. Rusty, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, you bet.
Rusty Alverson, Sarah Heinrich. You can go to KFGO.com, click on that agriculture tab, to learn more. CBS National News on the way. When we come back, we've been bringing to you NGC, the Challenge Institute has brought to you speakers, nationally known speakers. And you know what? Tomorrow is the latest one. We're going to have an individual tell you about that and how you are all invited right after this on KFGO. For students and growing them, but also what they do for their communities. And this is one of those programs that has given back so much. They bring in speakers from all over. They're nationally award winning people from a variety of backgrounds. And their next one is tomorrow. Here to tell you about that is Dr. Jeremy Jackson up at NDSU. Dr. Jackson, I appreciate you joining us today. How are you?
I'm doing well and happy to be here.
Well, tell me about this next guest. The speakers that you've been able to get up to NDSU and to provide an opportunity for people in this area to participate has been just great work. What's this next one? What can people expect tomorrow?
Well, we're delighted that actually this was a speaker we were supposed to have originally back about 2 years ago when something happened and derailed some of our events. But we're happy to have Vernon Smith, who is a Nobel laureate in economics. So not only nationally known, but internationally known, and just really a very deep scholar. So we're really privileged to have him here to talk to us.
So what's you talk about economics? What's his angle? Because when we talk economics during this show, there's a lot of things on people's minds, mainly what they're paying for things. So I'm curious what Dr. Smith is going to be. What's his angle tomorrow?
Sure, and so the event will be at 4:00 here at Berry Hall on the downtown campus. He won the Nobel Prize for his contributions in experimental economics, and one of his more recent topics is actually exploring more of the work of Adam Smith. So we kind of know of Adam Smith from the book The Wealth of Nations, but he actually wrote a lot on moral philosophy in his book The Theory of Moral Sentiments. And Vernon Smith actually uses some of his experimental methods to go back and look at the things that Adam Smith looked at, centuries ago. And he developed what he calls humanomics. So it's not exactly what you think of in your traditional economics, but how do we actually put people and humans back into thinking about economics?
It's a pretty noble concept, actually, because usually the economics impacts, us when we have some of these things going on. Sometimes it feels as though it's outside of our control, but certainly does have an impact here. So putting that human being into this conversation, I think, is something that's very worthy of people's attention here. So again, it's tomorrow, 4:00. People are invited. Is Dr. Smith going to be in person? Is this a webcast? Can people ask questions? Give me some of those details.
He is here today, so he'll be here for a live in-person event. If you do need to watch the event via Zoom, you can access a web feed through the Child Institute's website. But this is our first speaker that's actually been able to get here in person.
Oh, very good. I know in the previous speaking engagements, some of those presenters have allowed for, engagement with the audience. Ask questions. Is that to be expected for people that attend tomorrow as well?
Yes. So it is actually designed as a conversation, and the conversation between Dr. Smith and Dean Bollier will be about an hour, and then have about 30 minutes for question and answer. So yes, very much to be an interactive event.
Very good. If people want to attend, what's the cost of admission?
It's the best price of all, just the cost of your time. So there's no admission fee to get in.
Free. That's what we like to hear, Dr. Jackson. Anything else about tomorrow's event? Again, I know we've been highlighting and inviting people to this because it is just such a unique thing for this institute to be bringing to the community here. Anything else before I let you go?
No, just that we would love to have you here. You might want to come a little bit early if you want to come. It is going to be in our Ag Country Auditorium, which has a lot of space, but we're expecting a lot of people to turn out.
Well, very good. I hope we sent a couple more your way. Dr. Jackson, I appreciate your time. Good luck tomorrow, and I'm sure we'll chat again soon, all right?
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Jeremy Jackson up at NDSU. Again, you're invited. Price of admission free. Doesn't get any better than that for Dr. Vernon Smith, a Nobel Prize-winning economist. That's going to be tomorrow up there. Messages in at 35270. I'm going to get to those after we get you the latest weather update from Too Tall Tom Schmansky. Then we'll wrap up the second hour of Afternoons Live on a Monday afternoon. Don't go anywhere. We have a lot of sports to cover from the weekend, everything from the NFL draft to the red-hot Minnesota Twins, who are back in action tonight. 5:30, Chris Atterbury, the studio host, will take over these very airwaves. So I shortened the drive time news with Jack Sunday. You've got the Minnesota Wild starting playoffs tonight against the Blues. You're going to be able to catch that on 740 The Fan or sister station. Timberwolves. I hadn't watched as much NBA as I have in the last month, probably over the last 10 years. Losing that series in such a frustrating way to the Memphis Grizzlies, who then have turned around already last night and were back in action against Golden State. We'll talk about that. The young team, the talented team that showed in the end, but we'll talk with Derek Hansen. He's host of Couch Potato Radio. He'll be joining us in this final hour, as we do, as is tradition here on Afternoons Live. We recap the weekend that was in sports on a Monday afternoon. I'm Tyler Axis. This is Afternoons Live, and you got us locked in on 790 AM, 94.1 and 104.7 FM, KFGO. 4:05 on a Monday. Time for a couple of fact checkers, huh? I saw people sharing this one on Facebook. Is Funyuns Mountain Dew for real? And the images of a Mountain Dew bottle that's Funyuns Mountain Dew. It is not real.
But they did just release Flaming Hot Mountain Dew, right? That is a real thing. I'm almost positive.
I don't know. The Snopes article only addresses the Funyuns Mountain Dew, and that is not real. Why would you want to drink your Funyuns anyway?
That's an excellent question, but I've seen ranch soda before, so who knows what's going on.
People do put that on everything. Here's another one that I saw on Twitter, actually. Here's the claim. Elon Musk just fired the entire Twitter board of directors. That's the claim, but that also is not true. Elon Musk did not fire the Twitter board of directors. Not yet, anyway. That's your fact checkers for two things you should not be sharing, because neither one of which are true. Let's get you caught up with KFGO News with Paul Jurgens. We'll recap the weekend in sports with Derek Hansen right after this.
KFGO News, Fargo-Moorhead, a cloudy sky, still 39. I'm Paul Jurgens. A couple from Oklahoma died after their pickup was swept away in the Cannonball River near Mott in southwestern North Dakota yesterday afternoon. Hettinger County Sheriff Sarah Warner says Patrick and Joan Blake became trapped in the pickup when they attempted to cross the river at a low crossing. Warner says Joan Blake called 911 shortly after 1 yesterday afternoon to report that their truck was in the river and water was up to the doors. Their bodies were later recovered by the Dickinson dive team. The pickup was found in water that was about 15 feet deep. The Blakes from Arcadia, Oklahoma, were visiting family in Mott. They were both 74. The deaths of two people in Otter Tail County, Minnesota, is a case of murder-suicide. Deputies responded to a residence in rural Wadena Friday night where they found the bodies of two adults. They've been identified now as Isaac and Ariel Malone. The sheriff's office says the 25-year-old Malone shot his 25-year-old wife Ariel and then took his own life. Autopsies were conducted by the Midwest Medical Examiner's Office in Ramsey County. The Cheyenne River in Valley City has reached its crest now of just over 18 feet. Bald Hill Dam Resource Manager Rich Schuneman says outflows of the dam were cut back yesterday, and he said the inflows coming into Lake Ashtabula are increasing today, but he says with 5 feet of pool storage available, the lake is manageable. City Administrator Gwen Crawford says city officials will now work on a cleanup plan.
I have to be honest, we haven't even got that far yet. So we just need to get through this, and then we can talk about what we'll do going ahead. But if everyone could just bear with us and the staff, we're exhausted. We got to figure out what we're doing, and then we'll make a game plan from there once we get some direction on what we have to do.
All residents are still asked to stay off dikes and levees in Valley City until further notice. Democrats have endorsed KVRR-TV Chief Meteorologist Rob Kupek to run for the District 4 seat in the Minnesota Senate. Kupek won the endorsement during a meeting of District 4 delegates Saturday in Glendon. He's running for the seat being vacated by longtime Democratic State Senator Kent Eakin. Kupek has been chief meteorologist at KVRR-TV since 2013. Given equal time requirements, KVRR management says Kupek can no longer appear on the station's website at the station's newscast. A Bismarck company that sells wholesale electricity has completed its purchase of North Dakota's largest coal-fired power plant from a Minnesota company that had intended to close the plant if no buyer could be found. Rainbow Energy Center announced last year it had reached an agreement to acquire the Coal Creek Station from Minnesota-based Great River Energy. The acquisition also includes related transmission lines that run from central North Dakota to Minnesota. Terms of the deal were not disclosed. Fargo-Moorhead, mostly cloudy tonight. Then we'll see a decreasing cloudiness overnight. KFGO meteorologist Tom Szymanski is expecting about 33, 57, then partly sunny tomorrow. Near 59 Wednesday, mostly cloudy. Some clouds on Thursday, partly to mostly cloudy 64, and partial sunshine Friday, 69 the high. Fargo-Moorhead, it is cloudy 39. Paul Jurgens, News Radio, KFGO.
I do want to get this note out right now before I forget, but the honor flight is wrapping up, and having been on that flight, it's just such an experience to spend time with those veterans out at those memorials and just some of the other activities out there. But they're going to be landing, and it does sound like it's going to be pushed back closer to 7 o'clock. So one thing, if you haven't been up there before, but when these veterans get back on this honor flight up at Hector, they get a warm welcome. And it's just cool to see their faces light up with everyone welcoming them back. I think we're originally planning for 6, but it sounds like it's going to be closer to 7 o'clock up at Hector. So get on up there and welcome those veterans back on the honor flight. Derek Hansen, he's been on that honor flight before as well. It's quite an experience, man.
Yeah, it really is. It's I think you really get a goosebumps when you kind of walk through when you get there, and then there's the same type of ovation, and then and when you come home too. So yeah, it's really something else. And for all those, you can't believe how many veterans have fought for this country have yet to be the nation's capital.
I know it. And I had the experience of being in Washington, going through some of these memorials years prior when I was in the legislature, but going there with veterans that served in those wars, totally different moving experience.
Right.
So I'm glad that they're able to get that back up and running. I know there's a lot of volunteerism. There's a lot of donations that a lot of you have put time and effort and money into making this happen. So for those of you that did, thank you. Glad that it's back up and these veterans are out there. And welcome them back when they get home tonight. There's a lot of new people that were welcomed to new teams after the NFL draft.
Yes.
I don't know where to even begin aside from right here with Minnesota. Let's start with the Vikings, huh? The fact that on Thursday night, as you and Jack Michaels and Matt English were building up to that 12th overall pick.
Oh, yeah.
Before that 9 o'clock hour did strike and your program was done, only to have them trade within the division to Detroit.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you wonder if Jameson Williams is going to haunt this team for a long time now. And I think what happened here is Adolfo Menza, the general manager, Kwesi Adolfo Menza, decided that, I have about 100 guys on the board here. They're all kind of similar to what, I think after Aiden Hutchinson, the drop-off was there from pick number 3 all the way up until maybe a pick 103.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There wasn't a lot of separation for a lot of those guys and and so I think he thought he'd trade back. I think if I'm a fault anything on that whole deal is obviously, you trade within the division. Who cares? If they're going to go up and get him because they knew you weren't going to take a wide receiver probably because of the wide receivers they have. And so his attitude on that in Green Bay in the next round is, so they're going to trade up anyway. We might as well reap the rewards of it. The question you have is dropping 20 spots without picking up a first rounder next year. I mean, 2 seconds, one this year, one next year. I don't think they got the value for falling back that far.
Do you think that other GMs took advantage of him being new?
I don't know. I think that not so much because I think he just had a plan. I think he felt like I can get another extra second rounder and I'll be good. This will be a better spot for me. He came out and said, I knew Green Bay wanted to go up and get Watson. So, might as well take the advantage and get that other second rounder. So he had a plan. He had the system that he wanted to use for that, but it's certainly going to be questioned if Watson and Williams decide to run all over the Vikings defense the next few years.
Facing them, two times each year.
Yeah, it'll be 4 times that you get to see these guys now. And that's where, but I just don't think he cares. I think so many coaches and GMs do this because they don't want to have that hanging over their head as far as coming back to haunt them. Like he's just saying, hey, we had to go better our team. That's all I really cared about. And if you look at it, they got a corner, they got a safety, they got depth at positions where they needed some depth.
Yeah, I mean, he did address the needs of the team, and I don't mean solely him, but the overall draft for the Vikings graded. I mean, we talking B, we talking C. I mean, they knew where they needed more bodies, and they went out and got them.
Well, at the point, I'd say B only because of the bot, going down that far without much value back. But I mean, who knows how these kids are going to work out, and they are kids, and so it's hard to know. There have been plenty for every boom you've had a bust in this deal. It's not.
You never know. I mean, is some of these people that are drafted in the last round come superstars?
Yep.
Or the greatest quarterback of all time, for example.
Yeah, well, that's just it. I mean, 6th rounder Tom Brady is the obviously the one that we always talk about with something like that. So, all in all, they got some needs.
Yeah,
and whether or not that they got value for that trading down a couple of times is. I actually thought they were going to take that Clemson corner with where they're at 34. So, if you get them a few picks later, it's not a bad deal.
local talent, FCS had some good representation. I think that the notion of, well, this is kind of junior college, that's been broken now.
Oh, yeah.
It's been broke for a few years, but this year it seemed as though you just expected more FCS players to go, and they did.
Well, I think a lot of the quarterbacks at that level have changed that, right? Not just the ones from NDSU, not just the Carson Wentz's, Easton Sticks, and Trey Lance's. I think it also, if you look at Jimmy Garoppolo out of Eastern Illinois, and then if you look at a few others that are just, Joe Flacco from Delaware, obviously, same type of deal. So they made a name for themselves that way, and then now more position players are reaping the benefits of all that too.
Yeah, that's good to see. I'm excited for all these people that put the time in here, whether that's UND, NDSU. I mean, you have it. I think Minot State had a free agent as well.
How about that, huh?
Yeah, you had some of these. I know that Carolina did pick up an NDSU. Babbitt's up tight end, so I'll be rooting for him clearly as usual. But the draft didn't have explosiveness just because, like you said, there was the talent was just kind of level. There wasn't everyone knew this person was going first. No one knew the top 10.
Well, yeah, there's
really.
I mean, and there's no flashy quarterbacks either, right? Yeah. And that does make a difference when you approach a draft. I mean, who's going to be the next franchise quarterback for one of the 32 teams in the world that there's a job for it, being QB1? So that always adds to it for sure.
Derek Hansen, my guest, host of Couch Potato Radio. There's a lot of local news to talk about. I mean, Twins are back in action tonight. The Red Hot Twins, they've won 9 of 10, just on a tear. And they've been fun to listen to. I mean, the team itself has just been fun.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you look at Sunday's game, yesterday's game, how well they played and just were able to take advantage early, getting to the pitcher early. So that was nice to see. And they got to keep on doing that. And starts tonight against a bad Orioles team, first of 4. Yeah. Hopefully the weather holds up out on the East Coast there because they need to make hay on this. The starting pitching is really surprising. I mean, I think Joe Ryan has just been shocking of what he's been able to do. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, for Winder to get this first start,
Winder yesterday
go
also
out and pitch as well as he did.
Yeah.
And then you look at, I think Chris Archer is the veteran. He certainly knows what he has to do. Dylan Bundy, to me, he's looked pretty good. And then Chris Paddock's going tonight, who they got from San Diego with the Taylor Rogers trade. So he wants to get back on the right foot here and hopefully get a win.
Yeah.
Because that trade has been so far.
I know. And Buxton doing Buxton things, exactly what we expected.
Isn't he something? I mean, just everything that he does, it's both offensively and defensively, he is a gem.
Derek Hansen, you stick around. I got more. We got Wild playing tonight. The playoffs are upon us. There's messages coming in about Team North Dakota winning and the National Invitational Hockey Tournament as well. We'll get to all that and more right after this on KFGO. Stick around. Eric Hansen, host of College Potato Radio, to come on in. We recap the weekend that was in sports. Minnesota Wild get underway later on tonight. Was it 8 o'clock or is it 8:30 when the puck drops?
8:15 is the pregame show on the Fan. 8:30 they drop the puck. So it's going to be a late one.
How are we feeling about this series? I know there's been some concern because it's the Blues and track record, quite frankly, hasn't been ideal.
They've owned the Wild the last 2 years. Let's
Yeah.
just call it how we see it. I would say the last 3 years they've been able to take apart the Wild. It's just a tough matchup for Minnesota. It's unfortunate because I think it would be number 2, number 4 against number 4 was actually the old way of doing it instead of having the division rivals face each other in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. So it's tough. Colorado's really good, and they're facing Nashville right away, which is no slouch either. So this is going to be a grind. 16 hardest games to win to get a championship. I mean, you just got to. That's what you got to do. I mean, that's all. You got to win 16 more games.
It's best of 7, right? Is how this goes. Yeah. So. And they have home ice, so
they do.
Take that for what it's worth.
It's going to be pretty crazy in downtown St. Paul tonight. I don't think there's any question about that. The ambiance, just everything, the background noise that you'll hear on our sister station tonight will be unbelievable.
Do I dare ask this question? Because I get asked by listeners all the time. Tyler, why doesn't KFGO give as much love to the Wild? Which I don't agree with, but we're the home for Twins baseball, right? We're the affiliate. Is that what the decision is? I'm sorry, I'm pulling you this right on air, but I keep getting that question and comment into the text club.
We got 2 really good signals. I don't know. I mean,
okay.
For a lot of things, I just know over the years that the Twins, and also there may not be if you don't have Bally's if you don't have the alternate channels, you're going to be an upset Twins fan. If you know what I'm saying.
I've known some of those fans.
Yeah. So
yes. Okay, I just throw it out there because people throw it at me in the text club here.
Well, what's the difference? It's going to be on one of the stations.
Just flip. Just a little bit, I know.
Okay.
I'm being the middleman here. There's a saying about that. Don't shoot the middleman.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just
something close to that.
And also, the Fan Radio Network, if you want to go to the Inside Baseball here, with the Fan Radio Network, they're promoting it all day because they are the flagship down in the cities. So it kind of makes sense for us to, since they're promoting it all day.
Might as well just keep it right
Keep
here.
it going on there. And to be quite frank, if you look over the history of things to get into the devil details, the listenership for the Twins is really, really good.
Okay, there.
And I would
That's
say,
your answer,
I would
folks.
say that hockey is a great sport. It's a much better TV sport. Wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, I think so.
And
too.
I think baseball is the best radio sport out there.
I would think that if you're a play-by-play person, I would think that being a radio announcer for hockey would have to be one of the most difficult jobs to have in play-by-play because it's all about painting the picture in someone's mind because they're not seeing it. And you have this puck going from here to here to that. I think it would be such a tough job.
It is. There's no doubt. Well, and where the press box is at the XL Energy Center, I can't even see the puck. So
really,
I need glasses too. I mean, you're up there. I'm afraid of heights. It is up there. It's so yeah. When they do that thing when they go, you ever seen that? They got that little catwalk out by one of the pillars there at XL Energy Center. I'm sure that Eric has seen that.
Yeah, I've only been to concerts there, so I have not paid
Let's Play
attention.
Hockey. It is absurdly high up
There's
there.
no way I could do Let's Play Hockey.
If you look up in the XL Energy Center, it feels like it's above the ceiling.
Yeah.
Like it is so
It is
high
really
up there.
And it's just a rail with glass. And then I'm like, there's no way you could get me up there. I would not be able to do it. I'd be clinging to the wall.
Have you always been afraid of heights?
Yes.
Because it's something that I think I've grown into.
Oh, no.
I mean, when I was a free spirit of high school,
when
I was out there shoveling gross oats off the top of a grain elevator without a harness. Sorry, OSHA. BTR, no longer. But yeah, they had me up there. I didn't have a care in the world. No, I would not be caught up there.
There's no way I could do it. We went to a rooftop bar in Sarasota. I was visiting my friend. So we walk out, and it's on top of a hotel. And when you go from the elevator entry out, it's right there. I mean, there's just a rail and glass, and I'm like clinging to the wall. I'm okay. I can sit on the sofa, but I can't look over the edge.
It's like
there's no way.
All of a sudden, my balance and coordination disappears in my mind if I'm looking at something that's way far below me.
Yeah, it's crazy. So no, to make a short story long, I don't like heights, and I'm kind of a claustrophobic. So you want me very high in a little tube. Yeah.
So you won't catch him up there, but
no.
The XL, like you say, is going to just be rocking tonight. I mean, there's so much. This Wild team it seemed like maybe a roller coaster of a season, but people that have been following and love hockey, they've been excited. And the Wild have given them a good product to be rooting for.
And it'll be interesting to see who's between the pipes tonight. Is going to be Cam Talbot, who's played very well ever since they made the trade for Marc-Andre Fleury, or do you go with the future Hall of Famer who's got Stanley Cup credentials, the guy who's won a few. So that's going to be interesting.
I want to get this message out because they had sent it at the top of the hour. Tyler, Team North Dakota won for the second straight year the National Invitational Hockey Tournament. It is for high school age boys. Huge win for the second straight year. Played in Plymouth, Minnesota every year. So congratulations to Team North Dakota, and thanks for sending that in to our text club. That is 35270, provided by the Eye Consultants of North Dakota. We'll get you caught up with KFGO News. We got the playoffs for the Wild. Well, there's no more playoffs for the Timberwolves, and lost that series in such a frustrating fashion. Within their grasp, this glory, the victory, just to let it slip away in the second halves as they did. We'll talk about that and wrap up the rest of the week in sports. I'm Tyler Axis. Don't go anywhere. All right, at the top of the hour, I said, the whole photo you're seeing of Funyuns Mountain Dew, not real. Don't share it. It's not a thing. It's got my mind on Funyuns now. That's one of those unusual cravings. You ever just want a bag of Funyuns? It's not often. It's not common. It's not like a daily thing. However, if you have not tried the Steakhouse Onion Funyun, which just rolls right off the tongue, you're missing out. It's far superior to the original Funyun. The Steakhouse Onion Funyuns.
I don't know that I've
baffled.
ever tried them, and I am going to be on the lookout for them now.
I think I have got a grocery store run in me after the show because now, it's one of the, like a Mac attack, right? So you get it in your mind and you just have to have it. Which I want to thank Rusty Hoverson went to that place that has those Big Macs. I think he got a Happy Meal and he provided the Sonic toy for me. So thanks, Rusty, for looking out for the inner child in me. I don't know if they still did.
Yeah, is that allowed? Could an adult buy a Happy Meal just for themselves?
Apparently, the battery said that there's a kid out in the car waiting. I have no idea. All I know is I had the Happy Meal toy on my desk when I got back. So thanks, Rusty, for looking out for a brother. 35270. That's the I Consultants of North Dakota Text Club. Phone lines are open as well. 237-5948. That's the Laney studio line as we broadcast from the Gunderson-sponsored KFGO studio. CBS National News on the way. We'll finish up our conversation about sports. Timberwolves, we've got to go there with Derek Hansen right after this. The Minnesota Timberwolves got me watching the most NBA basketball over the last month. I've watched more than I've done in like 10 years. And I don't know how I got so immediately invested into this team, but I did. And then to watch them just go and blow these double-digit leads, Derek. It was so frustrating watching the series.
They should have won the series in 5 games.
Yes, they should have. There's one game that they legitimately lost.
And that was game 2.
Other than that, they could have won every other game.
They should have won in game 5, and it just was a shame. They have a lot of things to learn. I mean, running offense, I really believe if they're going to do anything, they need I think Jordan McLaughlin is a good backup point guard. They need someone who actually wants to run an offense. D'Angelo Russell, he's got 1 year left on his contract. The question is, do you want to keep him for his $30 million? Can you dish him off to get another point guard who actually wants to run something? Maybe make Karl Anthony Towns better. D'Angelo Russell can't come in this every game thinking he's one of the top 3 stars on that team. No, it's Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns, and that's it. But Towns, I mean, he shot a 3-pointer with 20 seconds left on the shot clock at a time when they need to work an offense. And I think even the announcers were saying, well, that's a hero ball shot. You can't do that at that moment. You just can't. It was they're just so, it's just sloppy and unorganized sometimes and really immature at sometimes.
It seemed like panic set in. When all of a sudden you got the Grizz chipping away at the lead, away, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we got to run a gun. And you want to run that clock out, set up that offense, run a play, but they just didn't do that time after time. It was the run and gun, and I think it come back to bite them. I think it was the immaturity. It's a young team, and they learned the hard way.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting offseason for them, what they decide to do. I think they got some people they have to bring back, but they got a good nucleus with those 2 young stars, with Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns, and I hope that they can get it done. Towns showed in, game 4 that he certainly can be a player for this team, that he can go out and kind of do everything, and be that leader. And then there's other times he melts down. He's got to quit worrying about the referees all the time and just go out and do your business.
Yeah, there's a couple of times where had he just gotten back to play defense instead of whining to the refs, he could have been instrumental in stopping a point or two, but he didn't. He stomped around and seemed as though the world was against him. And I've heard from other people that actually are involved with basketball at those levels that if you keep whining to the refs, they're going to give you even fewer calls because they're tired of your antics.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's just it. It starts to be a pushback, right? I mean, you're like, God, if you keep on being a jerk to me, I'm going to be a jerk to you eventually. It's just human nature, I think, after a while. So it's I think there's a way you can do it, point it out without always being constantly so abrasive about it. And we shall see. We'll see how this goes for them this offseason. I think it's shaping up, though. I think the finals are going to be really good no matter who wins. And I think if it's Golden State versus Phoenix, that's going to be unbelievable.
Yeah. I'm surprised that Memphis had to turn around what felt like right away and start this next series.
I didn't realize that they played right away. It was crazy.
Yeah, because it was the next day. Wasn't it Saturday? Then all of a sudden Sunday they're playing Golden State.
Right.
Yeah, it's no rest for the wicked, I guess.
No, not at all.
So I forget the point guard for Memphis. He's a baller. The guy was great.
Well, yeah, they got some young talent too, and I think what's frustrating about it as a Timberwolves fan, you say, "Well, the Timberwolves are young." Well, so are the Memphis Grizzlies, and they found a way to get some maturity and win when they needed to at certain times and make those plays. I think that's what kind of bothered you. Taking nothing away from Chris Finch, he did a very good job. I mean, Finch, I thought, was excellent all season long as the head coach, but they let games get away from them, and they had no business doing it. They were a better team. They just would lose big leads because of the lack of poise, the lack of maturity, the lack of smarts, to be quite frank.
That's what I mean. I am not a basketball person, but I'm shouting at my television set on Saturday night saying, "What are you doing?"
Yep.
Just stupid decisions. I mean, Towns turning around doing a fadeaway jumper. What are you doing, man? It's just Tyler. The problem with it, this comes into where I consultants from North Dakota Text Club. The problem with the Timberwolves and NBA, if they all want to be the one running down the court, beating his chest because he made the big shot. Yeah, there was some of. Yeah. I mean, that was on display, routinely. The one moment where they actually ran a play and it worked was an inbound pass for Edwards to shoot the three to seemingly put it into overtime, but then to go and blow a defensive hold with 3 seconds
Yeah.
left on the other side. But they ran a play, it worked, and that other than that, it was just the individualistic, the run and gun, and that's just not how you're going to win.
Well, Anthony Edwards even said, and here's the kid who's 20 years old. He goes, of course, we've got to get Ket the ball. And D'Lo wants the ball. I want the ball.
Yeah.
We got to start understanding that you got to move the ball around to everyone. It's the old Magic Johnson thing, If I make a shot, I'm happy. If I pass it to someone else, he makes a shot. Two people are happy. Then Ricky Rubio said that. I mean, there's something to – if you have a point guard who's going to distribute the ball to Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns, you're going to be better. McLaughlin showed that a little bit where D'Angelo Russell wants to be on their level, and he's just not.
Yeah. Well, and I think McLaughlin, he came in pretty strong in the last game.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. I mean,
he actually played well throughout the series.
Yeah.
Actually ran an offense when he was in there.
Yeah.
It helps. What a concept.
Yeah. Derek Katz is my guest, host of the Couch Potato Radio. I mean, is it coachable? The NBA now with the individualistic style for some of these players is, I'm going to go out.
You got to find the fine line.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be following along this offseason here. Red Hawks are going to be back in action here coming up.
This weekend. They get some exhibition games.
Yeah. And then home openers in, 2 weeks?
Yeah, a few weeks away. I don't have it right in front of me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it's towards the end of May. But yeah, they got some road games, some preseason road games coming up too. But and it looks like we're coming through this weekend for decent weather for that too, as they face the California Dogecoin.
Yeah, I'm looking at. Is that the name of their team?
Hey, I wasn't lying to you.
Okay, I haven't heard that one before. That's like an internet meme, isn't it? I guess 2022.
Sponsors,
Sponsor, yeah. If you're going to be paying, I wonder if they got paid.
They're like a
Bitcoin.
traveling team, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at the forecast here. Saturday, partly sunny, windy, 72. I'll take that.
Take that right now for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting up to Newman Outdoor more often this year than I have. When we talk about taking things for granted, Red Hawks right here, that great talent that's there. I took it for granted. Then when it was all kind of shuttered down.
Yeah.
So I'm back. I'm going to be up there frequently.
Well, yeah, and I think, hopefully the summer will come for them very, very soon. It's been a problem for all the high school and college baseball and softball, so hopefully they can get going here.
Yeah. I'm going to get you this weather update from Tom Schmansky. We'll wrap up Afternoons Live. We got a shortened version, truncated drive time news. Jack Sunday will be here, taking you from 5 to 5:30 because we're making way for your Minnesota Twins at Baltimore. Chris Adbury, your studio host, will join these airwaves at 5:30. I'm Tyler Axis. You're listening to Afternoons Live on 790 AM, 94.1 and 104.7 FM, KFGO.